You know that song is very popular by Doechii. It's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's Mind Matters, anxiety. The definition of anxiety is intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations, your fast heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating possibly, and feeling tired. All of this can occur. 42.5 million Americans suffer from anxiety. And this morning, I'm joined by Folkerts, a psychotherapist with Cornerstone Behavioral Health. And you know what? We got to talk about this because, as you can see, anxiety is not only on the TikTok, young people are talking about it, but it is affecting so many people.
Absolutely, Danita.
Why?
So we all have an alarm system, right? It's embedded in our hardware. We want it, right? We want to know if there's danger, if we need to respond. Because sometimes life has unexpected occurrences, right? And these can be simple things, whether it's, I have a big test and that's coming due, or something more severe. And so what we have is essentially a light switch in our minds. And if it's on, that's fight or flight. That's energy up, it's time to roll. But we don't want to exist there. We don't want to live in that spot. So you're talking about maybe 7 to 9 seconds, and then you want to turn that light switch back the other way. Because we get to be a little bit slower after that point, like physically, mentally. So anxiety is a tool. It's helpful. It's what helps us get out of bed in the morning, but we don't want too much of it. That's when it can be a problem.
You know, a lot of adults right now are feeling anxiety over financial issues, people losing their jobs and that nature. In your business, what are you seeing? What are they coming in saying about what's happening today in the world and how it's impacting their mental health?
So there's a lot to take in, obviously. So we exist in a generation where we've never had more available knowledge of what's happening in real time, right? So a lot of things have to do with social media, what we're aware of. Our systems are primed for what's here and what's now. And whenever we're sort of scrolling, if we don't have proper filters here of what we're consuming, then that can tip in the other direction. That can keep that light switch on too long. And it might make us assume that we're in a space that's not safe when we actually are.
Okay, so let's talk about it. People have anxiety. What can they do about it? Besides, we know we want them to come see you, okay? You need to go see a psychotherapist, a counselor. But what are some things we can do to cope with that anxiety that we're feeling? Yeah,
so a couple of simple pieces, and these are things that I use every day. Again, we all deal with stress. We all at some point have anxiety. So I'm not exempt from that. Two of the things that I use regularly, we call it a physiological sigh, and really all it is, 2 inhales through the nose. So you're sort of topping off.
Oh, okay.
You're topping off, and then a long exhale out.
Let it out, okay.
Now, there's different kinds of breathing, but that one is very special. That sort of top off, that second piece, it triggers that light switch to go in the other direction. So if we've ever had a hard cry, we sort of naturally do this. We get to a point, like a tipping point, and it's just...
Right, I've done that.
So we can do that, in real time before we get to that tipping point, and that's a pressure relief valve.
Okay.
Second one is essentially naming the feeling. So this is happening inside, but whenever we say something like, if I throw out there, I'm feeling anxious right now, and I put that out there, there's a little bit of distance that I've put between myself and what I'm experiencing, right? So I'm not my anxiety.
I am feeling anxiety. I'm not. Okay, so that kind of helps you deal with that.
And externalizing it is huge, because then you've separated yourself from it. It becomes a little bit more tangible, right? Those words are out there, and that just makes all the difference.
Well, they say when you acknowledge a problem, that's half the problem, right? You got to acknowledge, hey, I am feeling this. Now, there are some helplines, and I love you and I were having a conversation. Everything isn't always a helpline talking on the phone. Some people prefer what?
Texting.
Texting. And it's out there, right?
It is.
Okay.
So, absolutely. If we encounter a crisis situation at Cornerstone Behavioral Health, one of the resources that we always give out to every client coming through is if you text HOME, H-O-M-E, to 741-741, that's the crisis text line. So that's something that we give out to any individual that's in crisis. We obviously work to de-escalate the situation, but as an added resource. That's there.
Wow.
Because sometimes it's a little bit too much to just say.
And we're in a time where people want to text more than they talk. I mean, that's the world we're in right now.
Absolutely.
So text home to 741-741.
Absolutely.
The word home. Caleb, you gave us some good tips today.
I appreciate you.
That's what I just did. I feel better already. Caleb Folkerts, psychotherapist, thank you so much for being here with me today. You've given me a lot of help, a lot of help. And I'm sure you helped a lot of people out there. Dave, don't forget, do your little times and let it all out. Let it all out, Dave. Let it all out.
Brissa and Matt, they are joining me right now.
Brissa and Matt are joining you.
Yes.
We all need to do it.
I have to tell you, that was a fantastic segment. Very, very important, no question about it. All right, moving on.